Here in New York City, we've been hearing a lot about universal childcare. But this idea isn't anything new. In fact, for more than 30 years, social science researchers have shown that childcare has broad impacts for our entire economy. In fact, in 2025, New Mexico became the first state in the US to implement a universal childcare policy. So how'd we get here? Back in the 1960s, when President Johnson declared a war on poverty, the federal government started a program called Head Start that came from a simple but radical idea. Early education, health and nutrition could help break the poverty cycle before kids entered school. Nearly 30 years later, in the 1990s, Janet Curry published one of the first rigorous studies looking at Head Start's impact. Curry showed that Head Start was hugely successful. It improved school readiness and even had a long-term impact on outcomes like education and earnings. Early childhood programs, it turned out, have a huge impact on children's life trajectories.